Hello, I'm Miguel Strickland, and this is my IL 614 Induction and Teacher Mentoring PowerPoint presentation. Before I move to the next slide, Induction, as far as in education, is a support and guidance program that either novice teachers should receive or also novice administrators, because there are a lot of things that are changes going on that your programs of study don't prepare you for. So there's programs put in place to assist us with these things. There are challenges that face educators right now. There are a lot of hot topics that are going on, but there are some things that new teachers may not be quite as prepared for with the challenges and changes that are going on today. So a couple of those things: the ethical and legal issues. There are inappropriate relationships going on with students. You see that in the news pretty much daily, weekly. Student data and confidentiality breaches. That's one of those things that new teachers may not be quite as prepared for in case they get caught up discussing student data or anything like that out in the hallway to where other students are able to hear it or other teachers are able to hear it. And then social media posts are getting a lot of people in trouble. There's a lot of things that shouldn't be posted, that are private and confidential, that are being posted and discussed in social media. The Alabama Teacher Code of Ethics. This is something that is introduced to us in the state of Alabama very early in our undergrad programs to give us an opportunity to study it and look at it. And it's kind of guidelines for our behavior as professionals and educators. We'll start with standard 1 here for the Alabama Code of Ethics. Professional conduct. An educator should demonstrate conduct that follows generally recognized professional standards. That's just giving us a standard, to work to and to make sure that we're upholding our role in our professional setting. Examples of ethical conduct include advocating for fair and equitable opportunities for all children, and then embodying for students the characteristics of intellectual honesty, diplomacy, tact, and fairness. That's essentially being a role model to your students, doing the things you should, showing them how to act and behave, and just keeping that standard very high for yourself. A couple of examples of unethical conduct include falsifying, misrepresenting, omitting, or erroneously reporting professional qualifications, criminal record, or employment history when applying for employment certification. Essentially lying or fabricating in hopes, your resume, in hopes that it'll help you get a job. And then having sexual relationships with students, teaching under the influence of alcohol or drugs. We've seen these things reported every few days, especially with the stress now of COVID and some schools being on staggered schedules, and probably very shortly all the students coming back into the building with COVID, and it's the cold and flu season. So, you see these things and people's stresses, and this is the way that they cope with it. Sharing explicit pictures or messages with minors. So, of course, all these things are examples of unethical behavior. Teacher induction. Once again, we talked about the induction program, which essentially is a guidance and support program for novice teachers and novice administrators. So, and then there are professional learning supports that go along with, the induction and mentoring process. And so, new teachers just may not fully be aware of the process that goes on behind this, exactly what programs are affiliated with what, or kind of where to go. So we'll briefly touch on some of these. The special education services, of course, include your students that need accommodations and different things like that, or who have IEPs, but also the GATE program, which is your gifted and talented education for those students as well. RTI, and then your PST programs, and then as far as your Section 504 accommodations, these are things that new teachers and even new administrators and even some of your older educators may not be as up to date on because of the constant changes that are going on. Your ELL and screening process, your English language learners, that's an important thing because we have people moving here from different places where English, they're learning English and may not be very fluent in it. And so they need a little assistance and help understanding the English language. The classroom technology, different things such as if you have like these current Zoom meetings and things that are going on now, and if a teacher has their IEP, a student's IEP pulled up, and it is displayed on the screen. You know, there are certain things that protect us under the FERPA process, and so, you know, we have to make sure that we're aware of what's going on and make sure that, you know, especially newer people are educated on these things. The pre-K programs that go on in our schools, they are under the umbrella of the school that they operate in, but they fall under a different set of guidelines. Pre-K has specific standards and things that have to be met to where maybe a first grade teacher or second grade teacher or even some administrators aren't fully aware of the guidelines and then the standards that pre-K is operating under. But, you know, new teachers and new administrators need to be made aware of these things that are going on. Career tech opportunities, you know, of course it depends on which grade level that you are teaching, but as far as career tech, you know, it could be on campus, off the campus, and then there, you know, the career and college and career readiness program. It gives you the opportunity to help those students be prepared for those things coming up. And then something that is fairly new, the Alabama Literacy Act. Of course, the goal of it is to prepare your students to be able to read before they get to the third grade, but then they are tested in the third grade to see if they are eligible to move on to the fourth grade. And then the teacher mentoring system. This is beneficial for, of course, your new teachers, just to get them adapted and adjusted into their new environment, and help them with things that their teacher education program might not have prepared them for. So mentor support. Of course, they're like I said, with the current COVID pandemic going on, there are different platforms that everyone is having to use to be able to teach their class, their students, whether it be face-to-face or whether it be at home during Zoom or Google Teams or Google Meet or any of those. So we may have to help our new teachers use different platforms, help them understand how to use different platforms, whether it be online or face-to-face. Help them understand and implement the curriculum and meet the state standards, because some things you do projects while you're doing your undergrad degrees, and you may not fully understand how to put this in place once you actually get into your professional setting. Then classroom management, that's a big deal. You've got to be able to figure out now, especially how to maintain your students' behavior while they are online learning, but also while they're in the classroom, and then balance between. The benefits of a mentoring program, this is just a few of them. They have increased collaboration and teamwork among the faculty, because everybody, you know, if you have that mentor that helps you adjust to your new school setting, you're on the same page with the rest of the faculty and things like that. Improve the retention rate of new teachers. The better somebody feels about their job, the more they understand, the more likely they are to stay in that setting instead of just quit altogether. And then it helps reduce the district recruiting costs. If people stay in their jobs because they like the job and they understand it, then the district spends less on doing the whole recruiting process because the teachers are staying in place. And then there are 6 key components that we'll briefly discuss of a quality mentoring program. The new teachers served. The new teachers served, basically the district would have to come up with a place to, or have to come up with a plan to support these new teachers, especially in their first 3 years of teaching. And then the selection of quality mentors. The district must have a rigorous plan in place that where essentially they can weed out people who just want this opportunity to make money, or whether they actually want this opportunity to help and mentor young teachers. Time to mentor. So the mentor teacher actually should have some time maybe scheduled through their day, and of course they'll get paid for it, but to where they can go in and they can help that teacher during the day, like if there's a problem or issue that arises, so that way they can do it like in real time instead of before or after school. Mentoring program standards. Of course, the mentoring program standards need to align the design and operation for the induction program. So they have to line up to make the most of the program. Funding of mentoring program. Well, first of all, you have to figure out where those funds come from. And then the teachers that are the actual mentors, they deserve a supplement for being mentors to these teachers. So then you have to figure out how you're going to pay them, whether it be, bi-monthly or, kind of lump sum. But anyways, they should be compensated for their time and knowledge that they are helping these new teachers gain. And then administrator evaluating conditions. The district has to have a set of basic standards that an administrator can go into and watch the mentor as far as with the mentee, and then be able to essentially evaluate them on that and determine whether they're a quality mentor or not. So you don't just have somebody that is in a place getting a check, and you actually have somebody who cares and is encouraging and helping the person that they are assigned to mentor.